everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Learn Commerce with Namita. I am Namita Mane. In today's session, let us discuss about collecting banker, the statutory protection to collecting banker and the concept of negligence of a collecting banker. This is my third video on this topic. In my last two lectures or in my last two videos, I have already explained the meaning of collecting banker, position of a collecting banker and rights and duties or responsibilities of collecting banker. You can find the link in the description box. So let's start the session. Now, as you all know that collecting banker is acting as an agent on behalf of his customer to collect the amount from the paying banker. Okay. So when collecting banker is presenting the check in front of paying banker, the collecting banker has the responsibility that there should not be any mistake conducted by the collecting banker or from the paying banker. So there is a risk when the collecting banker is presenting a check in front of paying banker. So to minimize the risk of this conversion, in the case of collection of check by the banker, there is statutory protection has been provided to the collecting banker by Negotiable Instrument Act under the section 131. Okay. So the collecting banker, okay, if collecting banker wants this protection, so the collecting banker has to satisfy the following condition. Okay, so collecting banker must satisfy the following condition to get the statutory protection under section 131 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. If the conditions are fulfilled by the collecting banker, then in case if a collecting banker has done any mistake in the clearing the check, so the collecting banker can take this protection. Okay, so the first condition is statutory protection for cross check only. Okay, so this statutory protection is available to the collecting banker only in case of cross check. Now if the bank collects uncrossed check or open check, so this protection cannot be given to the collecting banker. So it is very important that collecting banker should collect the cross check, and this cross check should be present in front of paying banker to clear the check. Okay, so whenever a collecting banker or banker is accepting the check from the customer, the collecting banker should verify whether the check is crossed or no. Okay, so and this protection is available on general crossing or special crossing to himself. He cannot avail this protection in case of uncrossed check. If the check is not crossed, this protection cannot be given to collecting banker. Next is collection as an agent. Now the statutory protection is available to the banker if he collects the check. Okay, if the banker collects the check as an agent of the customer and not as its holder for value. Okay, holder for value or holder in due course means suppose to clear the check. Okay, it takes 2 to 3 days. In that case, the collecting banker before giving the check to the paying banker, before that only before giving to the check to the paying banker, before that only the collecting banker credits the customer account. Okay, so in that case what the collecting banker becomes? Collecting banker becomes the holder in due course or holder for value, and later on the collecting banker collects the money from the paying banker. So in that case the this statutory protection as per the section 131 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 cannot be given to the collecting banker. So the customer, whenever he wants the statutory whenever the collecting banker wants the statutory protection, so he must collect the check as an agent of the customer. Okay, on behalf of the customer, not as a holder for value. Okay, so holder for value I have already explained in my first lecture, so do watch that video. The link you will find in the description box. Now second is what? Good faith. Okay, good faith and without negligence. Now what does this without negligence means? And good faith. Good faith and without negligence. The collecting banker, okay, can claim protection only if he receives the payment, okay, only if he receives the payment in good faith, okay. Good faith means when the thing is done honestly in receiving the payment only, and without negligence. Without negligence means lack of care. If the collecting banker is collecting the money from the paying banker, and the same amount he is giving to the customer in a good faith, okay, there is no any cheating, or there is no fraud in the payment and collection, then it can be called as a payment receiving in the good faith. And negligence means lack of care. So if the collecting banker is presenting the check in front of paying banker, so that check should be verified properly, okay, there should not be any irresponsibility. So this protection can avail by the collecting banker. So these are the statutory protection as per the section 131 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, which is given to the collecting banker. Now next we'll move to the negligence of collecting banker. Now what does this negligence means? Okay, so collecting banker, okay, has to prove that the act was made without any negligence. Okay, now collecting banker is going to collect the money on behalf of his customer from the paying banker. So when he is collecting the money from the paying banker, okay, the collecting banker has to prove, okay, the act means when he is collecting the amount from the paying banker, he has to prove that the process of collecting the money is without any negligence. There is no mistake, there is no carelessness from the collecting banker. The process of collecting the money on behalf of the customer from the paying banker was done systematically and properly, okay. So there was no negligence, there was no mistake, there was no carelessness or irresponsibility from the collecting banker. So the collecting banker has to prove that the act, okay, means collecting the money from the paying banker, was made without any negligence to avail the protection under section 131 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Now the banker, okay, means the collecting banker, sometimes, okay, sometimes they do their duty carelessly, okay, and because if they do the duty, the responsibility carelessly, then it constitutes the act of negligence, okay. So whenever the collecting banker is collecting the check from the customer and then the same check is forwarded to the paying banker, they should be responsible, they should do their duty properly. If there is any mistake, there is a negligence done by the collecting banker, then there will be a problem while clearing the check. Now the ground of negligence. Now ground of negligence means what? On which condition, okay, on the situation, there are some situation or conditions that the negligence can happen, okay. Now from the collecting banker, first is what? Opening of account, opening of saving account, opening of current account, whatever, okay, whichever account the customer is opening in the bank, and if that account is opened without proper introduction, okay, without proper introduction means when a customer is opening an account and the banker, means the banker does not does not verify the application form properly, does not read properly, then it becomes a negligence by the banker. Means he does not check the name of the person, then whichever documents the customer has to submit while opening the account, that documents are not submitted properly. The Aadhaar card is missing, PAN card is missing, then the proof of address is missing. So it becomes what does the bank is doing? Means they are accepting the application without any care, means they are not verifying it properly. So it becomes what? Negligence. Okay, so next is what? Irregular endorsement. Okay, endorsement means transferring the check to the third party. Now endorsement means whenever the check is there, okay, this is the check, and behind the check if you sign and if you give to the third person, and that means what? You are endorsing the check to the third person. And when the check the banker accept, and the banker does not see the signature behind properly, whether the signature is matching or no, whether the signature is signed properly on the specific place, and if the banker does not check, that means the banker is doing negligence. Okay, next is what? Failure to take note of not negotiable crossing. Okay, now what does this not negotiable means? Okay, bank does not, if bank fails to take the note, okay, if the collecting banker fails to take the note or fails to check whether the check is not negotiable or negotiable, or whether it is crossing or no. So now not negotiable means what? Okay, suppose A gives the check to B. Okay, and when A gives the check to B, on the check A writes, okay, not negotiable. Okay, so that means what? The check will this check A will give to B, but B cannot give to C. So this means what? Not negotiable. Only this check can be valid between A and B only. B cannot further endorse or further negotiate. Negotiation means what? Transferring the instrument from one person to another person. If A has written not negotiable, okay, not negotiable means B, when A gives to B, B cannot give to C. That means it cannot be negotiable further. It can be only between A and B only. So if the bank does not see whether the word if the word not negotiable is written, and further the check is again forwarded to the other person, then it becomes a negligence by the collecting banker. So this the collecting banker has to take care. Next is what? Collection of non-customer. Okay, now collection of a instrument, collection of a check, the banker has to do for his customer only. For his customer means if the customer is having an account with him, with the bank, then only the instrument has to be taken. Now suppose B's account is in SBI, okay, and C comes in the SBI. Now C does not have an account in SBI, then C means the collecting banker cannot collect the check of C, because the C is not having account in SBI bank. So the C becomes what? Non-customer. So the collection of a non-customer, collection of a check of non-customer, that if the banker collects, then it becomes a careless, or it becomes a irresponsibility of the collecting banker. Second is what? Payment of cross check over the counter. Okay, payment of cross check over the counter means suppose the collecting banker suppose the check is crossed. Okay, now crossed means what? If the check is crossed, okay, that means it will be the amount will be credited in the specific person account only after 1 or 2 days. And if the payment of this cross check is made over the counter, means in the bank itself, the person goes and gives the check and immediately he gets the money, then it becomes a negligence by the collecting banker. Cross check means it should be the amount of that check should be credited in the specific person account only. It should not be given over the counter, means it should not be given in the bank counter. Clear? So these are the grounds of negligence which the bank can conduct. Okay, so bank should be careful whenever they are collecting a check. They should be responsible of their duty. They should perform their duty properly. There should not be any mistake done by the banker. Okay, so this is all for the today's session. I hope you have understood the concept of statutory protection of a collecting banker and the negligence of the collecting banker. Thank you very much. Please subscribe my YouTube channel, like and share the video, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the latest notification.